Tenjue, what would you say are some new and ongoing anti-racist initiatives or programs that are driving measurable progress at the community level? And where is the most progress being made? And how can that progress be scaled laterally throughout the world?
Absolutely. And I just want to say I'm deeply honored to be on this panel and to mark just a really important day where we're talking about peace, but also what stands in the way of peace, which is structural violence. When I think about what's happening in the United States, and I'm based out in Brooklyn in the US, and I think about where is impact happening the most, I think about what people on the ground, local communities are doing every day in terms of protecting and defending their people, their neighbors, those that they live side by side with, but also fighting for certain needs. Often in the US, what we are demanding and calling for is an end to millions and billions of dollars going to systems that continue to harm us, going to what is causing militarized policing, what is causing mass incarceration, but also it's causing other forms of economic violence, and calling for a divestment in those areas, but an investment in what our communities need, an investment in healthcare, an investment in education, an investment in quality housing. And when I see the success, when I feel most hopeful about our community, Black people, people of color across the United States, not just mitigating harms, but actually advancing a structural change agenda, I look to some of the victories that I see happening in local communities where community members are fighting and winning quality education, quality housing for their people, for their children. And I think when I think about scaling that, it is how do we support people on the ground, local communities, to be able to not just protect and defend each other in the moment based on as a result of ongoing attack, but also to advance a long-term agenda that is going to address the root causes of the problem, and how do we invest in that to scale. And of course, also quite hopeful because what I continue to see, despite the fact that we're living in very challenging, threatening, harmful times, from climate change to the rise of white nationalism to state violence and racial discrimination, we're living in times that also give us great hope and great possibility, because we're watching as people continue to be bold, courageous, and fight for each other, and also understand that the only way to create a road to true victory is for us to have unity across each other, across sectors, across organizations. And oftentimes we have to acknowledge that one of the ways in which we have been weakened is a result of us not able to use sort of the most powerful tool in our toolbox, which is us coming together in unity to build power and protect and defend each other.
Thank you, Tenjue, and thanks for bringing up that despite the challenges that lay before us, where there is hope, where there is unity. Masana, would you like to share your knowledge on any ongoing programs at the community level that are making progress in this realm?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Ria, and also to Tenjue and Victor for elevating, I think, just the very real implications of discrimination on access to justice, access to equity, access to livelihoods. And maybe just to foreground this conversation of hope is, for many people, the election of Nelson Mandela to a democratic South Africa is sort of the pinnacle and highlight of an end to a racist regime. And one of the challenges that we continue to see is, well, actually, elections on their own are insufficient to radically transform society, to radically transform interactions between people, structures of power, access to resources, legitimacy and space, and whose voice counts. And even within South Africa today, we continue to see, I think, high levels of racial discrimination, which has also coincided with gender discrimination, the misogynoir that sort of seeks to police and really control the expression of freedom and dignity and choice of Black women in the country. And so, taking that at my departure point and really looking to some of the research that has pointed to that you cannot really foster racial equity amongst people who are not equal. What that would do is really create a situation in which people internalize their racism, right? And so the overt racism becomes criminalized, but really the subtle racism continues to thrive. And it's really that subtle racism that has power and violence in the post-apartheid South Africa. And when I think of what gives me hope and courage, it's really this, you know, as Tenji was reflecting on people coming together, the feminist movement, the ways in which, you know, under the total shutdown, the call to action, roads must fall, fees must fall, you see this like massive awakening of collective consciousness of what it means to seek dignity and pleasure and joy as part of a feminist movement, and the ways in which the feminist movement has shaped that debate, you know, to prioritize the lived experiences of Black women, not just for pedagogy, right? So not just changing the curriculum, but also changing what is acceptable in policy. Like, no, we don't want an austerity budget, you know. Yes, we do want equitable housing. Yes, we absolutely want there to be some type of universal basic income grant. And what it means to build a social contract that is founded on justice and equity is fundamental to me, that dispensation of hope. I also draw courage, of course, you know, from this international solidarity with the movement for justice for Black people, with the feminist movement across the world. Of course, you know, strong mention as well for the work that is being done to reimagine what it is to rebuild after COVID-19. Yes, we want the TRIPS waivers to be taken away so that the Global South can have access to vaccines. And even though it's a long and arduous struggle, that there really is a coherence that is emerging around that gives me hope. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.